Hello. Not hello, because apparently my crew, they signed a petition. They petition, and I'm not allowed to do that anymore, so that was the last time you'll probably hear that. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of We Shot First, because the timeline itself is 19 years before Han shot. We are playing Star Wars Saga, the D20 edition, that many say is broken. We are working our way through. We have new fans that have taken an interest in us, so much so they are leaving us message and trying to help us through our awkward rules lawyering. The most recent thing, what was pointed out to me, is in Season 1, we should all be dead. Well, you should all be dead. Because the Second Wind feature, unless you have a certain talent that lets you do it twice or three times, which I don't think anybody has, maybe Merrick, is a once-a-day option, not a once-an-encounter. So I told him I'd look into it and offered him a job. So just to keep my own rules lawyers on their toes in case they lie to me in favor of the player, because I know this guy will be impartial.
I had mentioned it at least once last season, but I think at that point you were like, let's keep it for the rest of the season as once per encounter. Or well, I think we started taking it as once per day. I do like rules as written. I do believe that the playtesters did their job and everything. But, you know, there is also something to be said for, you know, the fact that some homebrew or a little excited element. Now, we're trying to do a podcast. We're trying to tell a story, not just have you guys make up characters like every other level. Now, it doesn't mean I've been nice. I was specifically reminded by the cast that Matt Witt's Rahul Oberus literally flatlined, and we got some great role playing with your audio will, as it were. I remember a certain swamp encounter where Frank, refusing to go down and die, laid down in the sniper position, yet we were picturing him like he was on a doctor's table, as Jay Tamlin, as Dr. Leth, like, made him drop trow and shot him up with stuff to keep him going. While still in ghillie suit, that was something.
Oh, yeah, we've definitely had a few close calls. I think everybody's had a few close calls. Like, I know Frank's been down to one point. I'm pretty sure Merrick got down to, like, one or two.
We had a Felucian Franken monster ready to squish Jay in a corner, and it was him or me, and I was like, one hit from me, he would have died, and he took a blaster pistol and stuck it up my nose and blew my head off. And all of a sudden, Dr. Les got mad combat skills, and they're all like, whoop, whoop. So that's three. But we have a Jedi. Well, can't really call him a Jedi. Can't even really call him Padawan anymore. We have this pissy teenager that guy-liners himself and squishes, like, to hide behind an entire party and, like, use magical powers from afar, and the stormtroopers don't even know what hit them, squish their brains out. That's not very honorable. That's not what your master taught you. So we're going to see if we can't bring him out into the light, get him more exposed to danger, to hiding around corners and playing mood music. We'll see. All I can say is in Season 2, the module ups its game. It does. You're going to be put in situations that are both in the middle of diplomacy, in combat, in dangerous situations. I mean, Book 2 is called A Wretched Hive for a reason. And what's going to happen next? Getting into Book 2, getting your briefing, learning about the Sarlacc project, and now you guys are hyperspace jumping towards Cato Nemodia, a colony planet. Gentlemen, welcome to Star Wars Saga Mongers Network presents We Shot First. The trip to Cato Nemodia is uneventful, gentlemen. And when you arrive, you find a planet that is far from its former glory in the days before the Clone Wars. A world in the colonies, Cato Nemodia should be far more populated than it currently is. When the Archelon drops out of hyperspace...
It's pinstriped.
You can have one stripe.
Racing stripe.
Two stripes, yeah.
Come on.
Dr. Leth is out there like erasing all the stripes in the spacesuit. It only needs one to go fast. A whole bunch more just slows it down and makes it look tacky. When the Archelon drops out of hyperspace, any of you that are currently in the cockpit can see that there is very little traffic traveling to and from this world. As you descend towards the planet, your ship flies through layers of clouds and zooms over cities that are built on massive bridges, like that look like hammocks between giant rock arches. Picture the ancient China, and they have those domed mountains all covered in moss and the misty veils. with like unperceivable valley pits below because the mist is so heavy. I don't think this planet has a bottom floor. And amongst these gigantic peaks is a metal hammock bridge structure that hangs from peak to peak, from sort of banana tip to banana tip, with a massive stone city laid out on it. This is what we're flying towards. The spaceport within the city of Zara is, well, it doesn't seem to have any visible Imperial presence, but you do know that this planet technically is controlled by the Empire.
Okay.
All right. Captain Admiral Gildevarth did warn you of this and cautions you not to act foolishly.
Captain Ver.
No, Gildevarth, the turncoat.
Oh, okay.
Knows that it's Imperial control because he's former Imperial, and cautions you not to act foolishly when seeking down Darga the Hutt.
Well, being an ex-separatist, I'm sure I would have dealt with them on quite frequent basis.
Were your dealings legal?
Legal?
That's like the one line I took away from the entire race is, somebody asked the Emperor on the phone call, is it legal?
It's subjective.
No, it's kind of a very stupid question to ask Rahal.
Yeah,
legal-ish.
Yeah.
Legal. What's illegal on one world is sometimes not so illegal on another world. It's semantics, really.
Subjective.
You can argue your case. Very subjective. Exactly, Dr. Ladd. He gets me.
He's your personal physician. I think he knows quite a bit about you. Anyway.
Some would argue too much.
We land without difficulty. And there's the matter of a certain speeder bike, which is almost finished being repaired. A ship that still needs a bit of tweaking. So who do we nominate to stay on board, to keep it running, so it doesn't get stolen, or, the hubcaps ripped off, as it were?
There's plenty of work on board. Merrick can do lots of mechanics. He can tweak the bike, he can tweak the boat, and he can keep it safe. I don't want nobody messing with our new wheels.
So the one guy that's not in the cockpit, because Merrick's back in the engine room, gets nominated. We land and we open the door and we leave, and he's still in there running the engine and it's working away.
We just never tell him that we leave.
Yeah, we never tell him that you landed. He's just keep the engines running, working away on stuff. Sure.
Right, that's right.
All right. Well, you can reach him on comms if you really need to.
Maybe we should leave R4 there as well.
Looking at the landscape, that might be more of a benefit for us.
Sure, Master. I'll lend a hand. I am the superior mechanic, after all. Merrick doesn't speak binary, right? I can just spit out these insults. I hope not.
That is indeed a good point. Make sure he doesn't touch too much that is not repairable.
You got it, Master. And the lab work?
The majority should be self-sufficient, but you will need to check on the chemicals when they are finished.
I am excited to tell you that I finally finished decrypting Dr. Evil's notes.
Oh. Do you need me? Turning to the crew.
Now, that is not a GM hook to have you stay out of something. I already short one guy tonight.
Wasn't trying to be a hook, but if that's...
Yeah, I know that's what your character would do. Well, it would take you quite a while to go over, the notes. They're going to need you on the planet, and you know what I mean. This is something I was the hyperspace.
In that case, begin sort through the data and organize by date of entry and separate for data points and extrapolation.
All right. Now we started several episodes ago a skill challenge, and I asked for a 3 success out of 5. And that whole thing kind of fell by the wayside. So we decided in hyperspace, off the air, Jay and I rolled for him in the droid, and he succeeded. And big announcement, yay, the notes are done. A recent project, Poser discovered that his bike was in tatters, and he's a couple days in hyperspace and still working on it. Pretty much got it going,
Okay.
I wouldn't put it through any kind of ringer. But I'm confident to say that since you're down a gun, if you want to roll this out on the street, and I'm down with that. It's up to you.
Okay, wait. What do you mean by ringer?
High speed chases, massive combat, that kind of thing. It runs and the gun shoots and you can drive it around. But you start
try not to push it to the extreme.
Yeah, exactly. It's high combat skill, that kind of thing, piloting without the feats or whatever. There's going to be penalties, just
firing while drifting around a corner.
I mean, you got it back together, but there's always that instant tweaking, right? Merrick's been more concerned with the ship, has been Arthur with the lab, and you know what I mean? So you've been kind of working on this bike on your own when they're not using.
I mean, I am a mechanic in my own right.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily as skilled as either of those, but I am definitely skilled in mechanics.
All right. Well, how about we run a little retcon of a skill challenge for you?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a basic repair. It's a basic put back together, reassemble. So give me 2 successes before.
This week on Resurgence Choppers. We've been rolling through the galaxy. We got a roll mechanic on the shop.
Before a single fail, which means something goes horribly wrong. So mechanics of
26
success. Another. If he can pull this out after the commercial break, we come back to the show. If he can pull out a really good roll,
24.
2 successes before my failure. So he gets to stay on the show. It's a beautiful ride. Any special modifications? Did you actually want to try for a third roll? Put flames on the side, or
Well, I wouldn't call those modifications. Putting flames on the side. No, eventually I would want to do a custom paint job, but right now, I would have had it.
Still looks like an Imperial stolen bike, which it is.
Okay.
You still have the license plate registered flapping off the back. You know, somebody's going to run the plate number and, hey, that's registered to Felucia. I don't understand what's doing here.
Well, then, yes, I will make a third check to kind of...
Anonymize?
So I was thinking like
anonymize it, repaint it.
Not just the paint job. I was thinking like a body shop. Like, you know, you take the cowl off and you give it a different, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely do all that, plus add in the last modification I wanted, which was speakers.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Because we're supposed to keep a low profile. No, so I guess your approach to like getting noticed by the hut. 11.
It's a very low profile.
Well, let's just say they make noise, but he has trouble with his communicator, you know, MP 3000 player hooking through them. It sounds tinny as shit, you know, so all you get is like the bass. You don't actually hear, you know, the really, really cool lyrics and stuff. And anyway, it's fun.
Oh, well, it's less of that. It's more of like speakers to straight hook my guitar into.
You just get nothing but feedback.
Yeah. With 11, it's like, or half the time it'll feedback, 50-50 chance.
All right, well, then I'll hold off on trying to fix those anymore.
Still, that would be a great distraction in battle. Imagine you guys all like go to cover and start pulling out guns, and he just like hooks up his amp, and you get that horrible squelch, and like all the entire battlefield is like stunned for 1d4. What the hell?
But at the very least, no one around us knows that we're in a gunfight.
Yeah, but the problem is it would stun us as well, so you know there's the downside. Anyway, moving on. We land at the spaceport, and you are greeted by a Nemodian woman who passes as the, you know, spaceport authority as it comes over the comm. It's the speaker and all that stuff, and like half of the structure's burnt, you know, so it's just a woman like with a megaphone, you know. Welcome to, you know, Docking Bay 93, the Port Authority of the colony Cadonornia. Please check all, you know, valuables, blah, blah, blah. Declare all illegal stuff, you know, we are technically in an imperial planet. Please come over here. And she's like waving you. Don't make me talk into this mic too much longer.
Okay, land. Drop the platform, walk down the ramp, and head
towards Spaceport Administrator.
Sure, that.
The Spaceport Administrator. Okay, you guys are like point blank range. Merrick stays behind on the ship. R4 stays behind on the ship. So we've got Dr. Leth. We've got Old Man Zinn. We've got Rahal. And we have Poser
on a bike.
Just kind of, do these things have like a slider or like a glide speed? Like they just kind of go. You know what I mean? Like, is there like a slow for this?
Yeah. So there's like regular like movement speed of 12 squares per turn, but then you can really crank it up to get kind of like your Battle of Endor like speed chases.
Yeah, so they're walking along and you're like racing behind them, kind of going past on like a diagonal. Like, hey, roll.
No, it's more just kind of like, you know, just kind of like floating back and forth, kind of like a like a hover car, you know.
Just because he can move 12 doesn't mean he has to.
Yeah, exactly.
Repulsor lift.
Yeah, exactly. I can move it like a repulsor lift.
Okay. I was hoping for the whole, like, it's sitting there hovering, repulsor or whatever, and he's, like, leaned forward on the gas tank, and he's got the tippy toes going on the ground, kind of pushing it along. Because he doesn't want to give it gas and, like, take off somewhere. Whee! All right. So we roll, or in Poser's case, glide up on the spaceport administrator. An old battered uniform, and still has the name tag, Nelia, female Nemodian. Her job is to keep all tabs on ships coming and going from Zahara. She gives you a data pad, asks you to fill it out, and what do you guys do?
I'll approach her and, using my knowledge bureaucracy, just kind of place what kind of... I got a 13 for that. What kind of stuff would she know about Kato Nemoid? Could you point me in the direction cantina type of deal? You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm awfully thirsty after my flight. Do you mind pointing us in the direction of the closest cantina?
Well, I have to run your FF code and check any luggage you have through customs. Anything to declare? You are flying a freighter. Are you delivering, picking up?
Looking for work, possibly.
Ah, she says, looking you guys over in turn, remembering now the GM, what you guys looked like last time I saw you, and you don't really own a change of clothes. We have pinstripe stormtrooper armor, custom. We got a kid on a bike with big speakers that are like,
oh no, they aren't playing right now.
Oh, sorry. We have Conehead Captain Guyliner on a bike. We have Dr. Leth, who's probably the most civilized looking guy in a lab coat and custom, knee pads and armor and the clip and everything. And then we've got the Coral throw-up menagerie and giant gun off his shoulder, which is Old Man Zin.
I probably wouldn't wear the Coral ghillie suit off the ship just yet.
Oh, so what, you're back to your old awesome-looking brown stained coat?
Yep.
Okay.
Because we're not quite sure what we're doing. This feels kind of like just a walk around to kind of get the lay of the land, and then we may come back at a later date. So yeah,
it's your special ops, blackface
session.
No, the ghillie suit is for is the night raid. I get it. Okay. All right. Sorry, it was a hard image to get out of my head. All the crap we went through back in, I don't even want to mention the underwater dark place.
Well, we'll make all the necessary pleasantries and declare what we need to declare.
This place is way up in the air, breezy, cliffside, breathable air, windy, stone dust. It's a far cry from the deep, deep, deep water, onto the water, carry the water. There's water at the bottom of the ocean. No one got that. No.
Letting the days go by.
Yeah. That was the name of the episode. That's episode 2. It's actually called No one contacted me, no high fives, nothing. All right. So, let's see. Well, she seems bored, almost wistful. I suppose you don't want to talk to Shas if you're not doing any imports. Well, he might have a job for you, so I could direct you towards Shas. He's a trader. I don't mean like, you're a traitor to the Empire. I mean like he trades in goods. He owns Zaran Imports and Exports. He usually hangs around the cantina. Kret, the owner and proprietor of the Federation's Folly, she says, just kind of waving a pen in one direction, is the closest cantina down the street. He could probably, and she again looks at you all in turn, help you with whatever you're searching for.
Right. Thank you.
Right after, and she's kind of like, because you stopped filling out the notepad she handed you, the data pad, like, fill this out, please.
So I fill it out.
Okay. So while you guys are standing there, waiting for your boss to, like, geez, how do they spell their names? Well, don't have to list all the crew, How do we explain those mysterious tanks and docking bay? Never mind. Just empty freighter, looking for work. There we go.
Yep.
Have there's some blatant questions like, have any of you considered, have any of you ever considered betraying the Empire? Have you ever committed a felony or an intergalactic crime against the Empire?
No. Never. We are just
homeworld,
salt of the earth kind of.
Are you humanoid? Are you near human? Are you third-class citizen, alien? All these really, really blatantly rude questions on the questionnaire. Are you on medication? Are you pregnant? Do you have allergic reaction to penicillin? You know, all these
Yes,
stupid
I am.
crap that goes on and on and on.
Merrick's the father.
No.
Poser's
Oh,
like,
God.
I'm pregnant, Rawl. I think it's Merrick. Something big snuck in my room in the middle of the night. I'm pretty sure it was him. Oh, okay. There's a vivid picture I don't want to explore in the podcast. Okay. So we head over to the Federation's Folly, closest cantina.
Yeah, we'll kind of take off. At least I think
Sounds
the
good.
majority of us will. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as we start to move down, I'll kind of bring up my little intercom walkie-talkie thing there and go, Merrick, make sure you keep the engines on.
Click. Federation's Folly looks worse inside than it does on the outside. We're talking about a city that's crumbled, has seen like wartime battle, like those World War II documentaries where buildings are like 3 walls and the inside you can like see the upper floors like a dollhouse kind of thing. A lot of buildings are like that. This thing barely has a roof, corners or whatever, does have 4 walls, does have windows. Some are boarded up. Some actually have something Durasteel plating or like something dirty glass, smoky glass, in place. We go through the entrance.
Standing at the entrance, turning to Rahal, do you think it's some sort of gimmick?
It's always some sort of. He just kind of like walks in up to the bar.
All right.
As we kind of stream in one by one, I'll, take another look around before I step in. It's amazing how much of these Empire-dominated planets look the same. War-torn.
As they're walking in, I'll be pulling the bike to the side, turning it off and whatnot, and then telling Rahal, I'm going to stay outside. Keep watch.
Yeah, right. It's probably
Lean
a
up
good
against
idea.
Okay. Poser, keep an eye on the street. Watch those alleys.
Yep.
Do the finger eyes towards anyone walking by. Watching you, buddy.
No, just chilling, leaning
No.
up against the wall.
Everybody keep your comms on.
Pneumonians don't have pupils, so you never know if they're really looking at you or not. The heads kind of turn away as they scuttle up and down the street.
Yeah.
3 men enter a cantina. Now stop me if you've heard this joke.
Stop.
A businessman, a doctor, and a sniper. The businessman, confident, casual, and charming, heads right up to the cantina owner, whose name he was told is Kret. The doctor, barely inside the store, surveying his surroundings with distaste. And the sniper, walking in, loving the fact that every time he crosses the threshold, because he actually backs out and comes in a couple more times just to make sure it's him, there's that every time he comes through the doors.
Step in, look back at the kind of still swinging doors.
Yeah.
Come back through.
Come back through.
Anybody else hear this?
No, that's pretty cool. He leans back out, sees us coming through Poser's speakers on his bike. He's just shrugging at him. Rahal,
Yes.
a smattering, not even half a dozen patrons in here, most of them Nemoidians, and a large, possibly once impressive Nemoidian, male, behind the bar.
All right.
Kret, can I have a perception from everyone?
Everybody, look around.
Myself included.
Yes, sir. It's a busy planet.
Everybody do the flop.
He's counting tumbleweeds outside. Very, very busy out here.
I got a perception of 15.
I got a 23.
I'm very distracted by my surroundings. 12.
He doesn't want to.
I got a 21. I see all the tumbleweeds.
You suppose your job, Dr. Leth, is to find us a table and none suit the hygienic needs of actually sitting.
Find a safe place to sit.
Yeah.
I don't even care about them. Just like one for me would be nice.
Well, there's empty tables, but I wouldn't exactly call them serviceable or hygienic or something that
Sanitary.
Exactly. Need some tetanus shots and a couple of extra penicillin, India, before you even sit down and lay your hands on these surfaces, shall we say? Let's start with the lowest and work our way up. After much hesitation, Leth glides his way over to a table and waits to be joined, keeping an eye on the room.
I don't sit down. I just kind of hover by the table.
Hover by a table, waiting for a cert, right? No waitress comes to attend your every need, kind of disappointing. The species is singularly dominated by the resident species, also disappointing. There is a cloaked up hooded figure in a corner, and it's a travel dusty cloak, not like a robe, like a big poncho. And the figure seems too big or in the body and too short in the head to be, to guess that there's a Nemoidian under there. They're wearing the sand goggles and the breath mask, and, could be anything under there. Something a little bit more resident of Tatooine. I'm not talking like a sand person. I'm just talking about your generic, guy who looks like he's in BMX bike gear.
The
who knows
all
what's under there.
temperature gear or whatever. The environmental
somewhere
gear.
between just your basic spacer traveling through that's picked up odds and ends for gear, or mercenary, or we're not a very nice place. You assume it's not a very nice person. Anyway, they're eyeballing us and banging on their mandolin, apparently.
Banging on my mandolin. Well, that's Poser's job.
Needs more
Next.
cowbell.
Rahal. The owner does not seem overly whelmed to see you. Looks at one of each of you in turn. The proverbial dirty rag going into the dirty mug. Endlessly wiping it, standing in front of one patron that seems to probably be the guy that's most likely to reorder a drink sooner than later, having a quiet conversation. They stop talking as you get near. He just looks at you. I'd say he raises an eyebrow, but it's more like a crest of his little bulbous forehead that kind of like just sort of moves up in a creepy fashion.
Creepy.
Eh?
Good evening, my friend. I was just happening to wonder if you could maybe point me in the direction of an associate of Daga the Hutt.
Frank, your perception kicks in. The man draws himself up in a confrontational style reminiscent of a military man. The way he speaks, although broken down and worn, you know a military guy when you see one. The way he moves. Using his imposing figure to draw Rahal distracted to the chest up, covering how he changes his stance, covering how he drops a hand below the bar, possibly going for a weapon. Not necessarily making a move, but definitely being cautious. Seeing 3 armed men come into his bar. Sorry, his cantina.
I'll hold a hand up. Whoa, I just came for the booze. Take a bottle of your worst and a bottle of your best.
He ignores Rahal, looks over, nods, shifts away, keeping Zin happy from possibly where a weapon is, grabbing a bottle, and then a second, and putting it on the end of the bar at a corner, and then coming back up to where Rahal's standing. What about you, then?
Give me something fruity. Flip a cred chip over.
There's that soft murmuring chuckle that you said something amusing or possibly not really manly by their standards, ripples through the bar. First of all, it's a day cycle we're in the middle of. It's not night. Second of all, you'd be wise to follow your friend's lead. We have harsh, synthol, alcohol, wearall, and eversol. All of it will rot your insides. And he plants 2 meaty fists on the bar and leans in on you. None of it is particularly fruity. As he sits back, he draws your credit in and just grabs something that does not smell particularly pleasant, pours in a single shot in a glass, and just shoves it at you for your money. Takes a step back.
Rahal picks it up, slams it like a boss, smacks his lips. Perfect, fruity, exactly what I was talking about. Quite the connoisseur, I can see, gives a wink.
Kret, the cantina owner, smirks at you and says, "That's Umbas bat milk." And everybody laughs. Want more?
I'm okay, thanks. I'll just indulge in what my compadres haven't. But again, if you could point me in the direction of maybe an associate of, the name I mentioned earlier, be very appreciative.
He looks at you flatly as somebody with barely a flat, emotional face, but the eyes do narrow. His black, they have like a squiggly, weird, gray yellowish line that could pass for an iris. Becomes very narrow as the actual muscle of the tissue condenses. Never heard of him. And they all looking at you flatly to be suggestive that, sense motive, perception. Does that fall under perception? Boy, it's been a while since we played Star Wars.
Excuse me, I've got an 11 at this point, so I'm relatively oblivious, just kind of locked onto the two bottles.
I'm going to go with persuasion to convince him that he wants to help me.
All right. Well, can I have first a perception, which is sort of a sense motive in this game, or we don't have a... Yeah, perception is following sense motive in this game.
Yeah, sense deception. This is under perception.
Well, click.
Rahal?
For my perception, I got an 11 as well.
Okay.
But for my persuasion, I got a 31.
For your perception, you're not sure if he's trying to transmit any kind of meaning, but you do understand that he's unimpressed that you're asking about people that he states that he doesn't know. As for persuasion, I don't see more money, and I don't hear a really cool bluff from our master of wit. Get it? His name is Matt Witt. Rahal? No? Anyone? Nobody?
Well, yeah. Do you want it? Do you want it?
I do. But if you would have gotten a bonus, and then there's the backing of the roll. You come out hard with a 31. You better be like bringing the Oscar into view of the Zoom window here as you give me the speech, buddy, because 31 is freaking epic.
Well, whether or not you know or do not know said individual, that doesn't matter so much. All I asked was for you to maybe point me in the direction of someone who may. And he reaches in and pulls out a cred chip. I'm not adverse to compensation, if you know what I mean. Flicks it across the bar.
He pulls the cred chip, pulls a dirty old data pad from behind the bar, plugs it in, reads the donation to Kret's retirement fund, and the other ridged part of his forehead, eyebrow, maybe one means yes and the other means no, who knows, raises up alongside the first one.
Rahal leans in
and loudly says, "Never heard of him." And he quickly types something on the data pad and hands you back your cred stick.
So I pull the cred stick back. Like, I can take a hint. Don't mind me, we're just going to enjoy our drinks in peace. Sorry to disturb.
He gives you a nod and gives you a couple of back finger waves, but it's not like he's trying to get rid of you. It's almost like he's indicating something, pointing at your hand.
So I'll slide on down the bar to where he slid the bottles for Zin. Pick one up, hand one to Zin, and then head over to where Dr. Leth is parked himself. Of course.
I see that I've got the inferior bottle, and I'll nod my head, walk over to where the doctor was kind of hovering, and I'll uncork it, put my thumb over part of it, and just kind of splash a little bit around the seat and table. Take a handkerchief off, wipe it down. Doctor, never know what's been sitting there before you. Could catch something.
I don't believe this covers our debt, but thank you.
I'll smile and nod and take a pull and then kind of cringe. Oh, yeah, never start with the bad stuff.
So while they're getting comfortable, I'll take the cred chip, stab it into my data pad, take a look and see if there was any files slipped on there.
Your credits are gone, but there is sort of a couple of lines in like a notepad stuck in. One indicates sort of a more like, it's not like a map or anything, it's just some compass directions, like, north side of town, that kind of thing, like head this way into town if you can get your bearings once you're outside the door. And the second is a name.
What's the name?
That's a very, very, very good question. Warwick Raiden.
Warwick Waden?
Warwick Raiden. War, as in, going to war. Rick,
What is it?
What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing. Wow, say it again.
Rick, as in that song was better than getting Rickrolled. And Raiden, as in almost like...
War,
Yeah.
Rick.
Only without the I in the
Raiden.
middle. Warwick, Raiden. As opposed to Warwick Davis. It's Warwick, Raiden.
Okay.
Okay? It also mentions the name of a race. Devorian.
Devorian. Hey, Doc. Lean over the table. What can you tell me about Devorians?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. I was quite hoping to be distracted. That's the galactic lore, right?
Yep.
13?
The Devorian race, like the devil race, red skin, little black horns for the males, furry monkeyish appearance for the ladies.
Okay.
They're known for being sly business, not devious, but really slick. They have a talent for that kind of thinking.
Okay. That is a race. They're actually dimorphous, which is quite interesting to observe. The males tend to be. Their skin is a mixture of black and red, not like color mixture, but there is two tones to their skin, and they have horns. The females tend to. They resemble simians, actually. At any rate, they tend to be seen as particularly crafty, and all around a very interesting species. I suppose some would call them untrustworthy. I'm not sure if that's a race thing or if it actually is part of the genetics.
Or a few bad apples have gotten loose in the galaxy.
Interesting.
And set up a terrible,
Exactly. I don't know if that's like a social construct, racism, or if it's an actual part of the genetic
one
nature.
says Wookiees don't like to lose, and they've been known to rip people's arms off. They've been known to do it. But it's not a staple to amplify the entire race, and their culture is based on arm ripping and gambling. It's just, somebody watched episode of Wookiees Gone Wild. It's,
Oh, the noble Wookiee.
Ignore the smell and...
Bring a hairbrush.
Right.
They'll be your friend.
Okay.
+2 to befriending a Wookiee. You bring some kind of comb or something.
Sounds like they might be more inclined to the business types of world, is what you're saying, Doctor.
Well, as far as being two-toned and of that particular persuasion, they very much remind me of you.
I will take that as a compliment. Grabs the good stuff that Zin ordered and takes a slug. Well, I think I've got the information I need. Shall we finish our drinks, head back to the ship, and regroup?
Oh yes, let's.
Drawing your attention to the screen, we have a lovely picture of sort of what the place looked like during the Clone Wars. You have the giant, heavy-looking, almost Dr. Octopus cables attaching to a rock wall of our sort of ancient China mountain dome, coming down to a flat curtain-like looking platform, banana hammock, and a beautiful, majestic city. That was, during or before the Clone Wars, because they actually have, you can see like the clone trooper carriers, zooming in. Also, for your, I would say, listening pleasure, for you to view, okay? I got a lovely shot of you guys coming in, is the actual Cato Nobi itself. It's lots of swirling cloud, but they're almost in lines, as well as it's a very greenish-looking planet because of all the sort of moss-like vegetation on the mountains. A nice little, nice shot there. Looks like
Multiple jet streams in the weather.
And it looks like someone's taken a finger rake over the entire planet, top to bottom, with these jet streams, not the sort of more finite, intricate swirls that you'd find on, a Terran planet or one of ours.
Mountains not carved by water, but by wind.
And my personal favorite,
that's
this picture
good.
here
That's
is
a good
showing huge mountainous domed arches, even bigger than the hammocks and the natural rock formation. just dwarfing over top of these cities, and far below, just misty clouds. Like you guys are almost above cloud level, as it were. It's really good planescape, I guess you could say.
Scale.
Yeah. Now the city you can see is like 10 times as long as it is wide, because a metal hammock is the best way I can describe what's the structure that's holding up these cities, which are now crumbled, burnt. A lot of spires in the construction, as you can see. A lot of towers looking, as opposed to squat buildings. And those are the ones that are either crumbled or have been hit in the side, and you get that dollhouse open wall effect. I think I'll just leave that up as long as you're here for the moment.
Sure.
So, we've learned about a man.
Yep.
We've learned a little bit about one of the galactic races.
Okay.
We've learned that drinking bat milk in a bar makes the patrons like you a little bit better. So does money. And we learned that Old Man Zinn doesn't like drinking his whiskey. He just likes holding it.
Well, a good whiskey is to be appreciated. A bad one is to just not be drunk.
So what do you do, gentlemen?
I was going to say, taking a last pull off the bottle, kind of swirling around this toxic tasting alcohol, and set it on the bar as I head back out. Gonna nod my head.
All right. Freezing a frame in time. Let's go outside and see what was happening while this scene played out inside the cantina. Poser.
Yes, Jeff.
If that is your real name.
It is.
For now. They go in. Zinn backs out, looks at you, goes back in, backs out, and kind of does the chicken strut in for some reason. You have no idea why. Mumbling something about, because your comms are all lit up. Do you guys hear that? Yeah. Anyway, with the comms lit up, there's back and forth. A lot of them are like push to talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like it's like an open thing you can hear everyone, because it would be all kinds of interference about who's talking over who or whatever. I might even go so far as to say that once in a while somebody just kind of clips on, the conversation to be followed if you're really worried. But for right now, they're inside dealing, trying to get information. This is Rahal's territory. Outside, it's what you expect. The locals are like looking you up and down, see the Imperial speeder, move on.
Yeah.
People are receding in the corners, probably whispers that you guys have come, people are spreading the word, that kind of thing. But you are approached. A shabby-looking Neimoidian, wearing torn and not in very good repair type clothing that's native to the colony, kind of shambles up to you out of his little alley, outstretches a little tin cup, looking hopeful. Recredits. Credits. Slang for Republic credit. The guy just really doesn't speak Galactic Basic very well.
Yeah.
Recredits, recredits. Hopefully looking at you. Recredits.
Apologies, friend. I do not have any.
He kind of doesn't say anything, but he looks at you taken aback, kind of disappointed, shrewdly, looking down at your, armed, expensive bike, and then back at you.
I'll shrug at him and shake my head.
Rations? Water?
Again, shake my head no.
Looks all around, leans in quietly. Death sticks?
Shake my head no.
Just kind of lifts a hand and, shambles back into his little alley. Starts muttering to himself. Once I was the Viceroy of the Trade Federation. Now, I'm this. These people come. They don't have credits. Empires everywhere. Boo-hoo me. Kind of goes back in his little corner. Humans. Neimoidians. Mixed races. A couple of people appear on the edge of an alley, leaning up against the wall, regarding you. Our little beggar kind of distracted you, and when you sort of set pattern going back to surveying the street, you notice them. As soon as you look at them, they kind of push off the wall, gather each other up, and just head into the alley and away.
Interesting. How many were there?
3. Looks like they were taking stock of you.
All right. Well, I'll be mindful of that and keep surveying.
And then, okay, much further down the street. But when you first came here and was looking all around, people were in an alleys. No one was like camped at the end of it, like watching you. They must have arrived shortly and, see you looking back at them, and they take off. And then your party starts reappearing through the door, starting with Zin. You're heading back out talking to Poser? By all means.
Yeah, as we come out, nod at him as he's sitting there. Anything?
Beggar and some interesting folk looking at me. 3 contacts, alley that way. They left shortly before you came out.
We got a name. We should probably head back to talk about a plan.
Good.
His hand just kind of drifting back to the actual scope on his rifle and just clicking it like a safe, 3 to the left. 200, 150 yards. Okay, that's good to know. Just kind of bringing in the range. Just you've seen him do this before. We're just casually talking to you. Just figures go up. Okay, good to know.
All right. At that, I'll hop back on the speeder bike and kick it up.
I'm dying to go vroom, 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 but this thing just kind of like whirls into the repulsor lift, comes to life. Rahal, Dr.
Yes.
Leth. Does Dr. Leth have a first name? Aska Leth. I remember now. Okay, Dr. Aska Leth.
Can I help you?
Oh, if you're talking to me directly to GM, you're hearing voices in your head, so that's not a good sign. We'll skip that. It's never a good sign. Rahal, the doctor, just kind of talking to you, and then all of a sudden just like looks up, can I help you?
So as Poser mounts up, I'll kind of point down the alley that he was indicating. Might be 3 hiding down there. Shouldn't be anything.
It's in the general direction you guys were waved to go, Rahal, but it's not like you can't avoid it. There are side streets on the streets. Like I said, the city's narrow, but it's not like you have only one street to choose from.
Well, we'll mosey on, obviously keeping our attention out and about to make sure we're not getting cornered or into an area where we'd be liable for ambush. Somebody rolls for initiative, and you just pull out this data pad and a liability clause right here. It says weird. Yeah.
This thing, this lawyer. People rush you, and like a lawyer just comes out with a briefcase and starts handing them documentation. Sorry, my client's not liable for ambush.
It's true.
I'll be speaking for my client. I'll be rolling my client's initiative. Your best option is to sign here, 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 and go home.
DM foul. Red card on the play.
That'd be awesome. You make bureaucracy rolls instead of initiative. It's gonna. All right.
Legal RPG.
Yeah.
It'd be huge in Japan.
That would be a big... Yeah. Yes.
I'm pretty sure it's a thing.
Yeah. It's not already...
Probably.
Isn't that already?
Yep.
I think it's a thing.
Oh, the dissertation and everything. Yes.
As if you're in a cheesy western. As if you're halfway down the street. And no, it's not a night cycle. Why, the sun is at its highest, at its peak. One might only say it's high noon.
They might indeed say that.
We hear distant revving of repulsor engines echoing in the alleys. It's either an echo effect from a loud engine or several approaching us. From every side? One side? Hard to determine.
Do you want some perceptions?
I want you to roll for initiative.
Oh my god!
And we'll see you next time.
No!
What could it be? What fits in a narrow alley and has repulsor lifts,
Foreshadow!
What could it be? What could it be?
Not me, guys, I swear.
Yeah, 19.1.
Damn it. 11. Damn it. I'm destined to get hosed by a speeder bike.
Oh!
30.
Oh, poser!
Yay, 5.
30 Poser just guns it and takes off. See ya! He's gone. You're doing this counter alone.
Wait, what?
A what?
I would not do that.
Tune in next time.
Les still looking at his data pad. I thought we were going back to the ship.
Yeah. When your comm suddenly crackles in, Merrick's voice.
Roho, I sense danger. Are you okay? I'm several rounds. Okay, no, but I'm probably entire counter away. You deal with it. I'll be there later.
Clark cracks out. Damn, you can even running. Couldn't even pick up the ship and fly here in time. You guys are boned halfway across town.
Roho, remember, please. We have trained long time for this. You can do it. You're number one guy.
Well, if you guys haven't guessed already, Merrick Matt Messina is absent tonight. So it was logical to stick him on the ship, but we don't want him missing out on combat. Maybe he can be the cavalry. Though you do have an edgy teenager on a speeder bike with a big gun mounted on it.
It's got 2 seats. He could probably get to the ship, pick up Merrick, come back.
A war veteran with a.
You prefer your other tank to leave to go get your first tank, or stay there and tank?
That's fine. Me and Askaleth, we've got this business now. We're soldiers.
That's right. You guys all leveled up a soldier. You got this, or whatever.
Yes, yeah. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We can practice it.
Frank, this place is a honeypot of high ground, like broken towers that are have leaning open, whatever. If you could just get up there in time. But we'll have to find out next time.
Next time
on We Shot First.
Pew pew pew.
Awesome.
Hey everybody, GM Jeff here, asking to hear from you. Like, subscribe, leave comments on iTunes, a review, SoundCloud, YouTube. We are all over the place on the net, and we would like to hear from you. Tell us what we're doing right, tell us what we're doing wrong, dislike, subscribe, and then you can get to hear us faster. And not only can you hear us, check out our new merch store where you can wear us at Teespring/Rollmongers. We have so much to offer, as well as special discounts to, what's that? Yes, 2019 brings the inevitable Patreon page. $5 tiers, you get outtakes, you get extra content. $10 tiers, shoutouts, and the $20 tier, well, you can actually directly affect how the party may do in a boss fight. Check us out at Patreon/Rollmongers. Brought to you by Dicewise Entertainment. Thank you.